Part 41. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kisiun Jeon. Chapter 401. Two men sat opposite each other in an inconspicuous restaurant. The young man swallowed his food in big mouthfuls. The middle-aged man was talking in a low voice. Laird, Deputy Director of DGSE, 47 years old. DGSE has three major institutions, namely Tulli, Modir and Nuiki Fortress. Laird has been managing the Tulli branch for the past 9 years. He is a loyal subordinate of the director of DGSE. It was also the director of DGSE who nominated Laird to be the deputy director of DGSE. For more than 10 minutes, Lin Xian ate food and listened to reports. When the meal was finished, the other party finished the report. "Thank you for your hard work." Lin Xian raised his head. The man shook his head. "Serve the motherland." Lin Xian was silent for a while. "Goodbye." The middle-aged man left. Lin Xian rested for about 20 minutes. He got up and left the restaurant. He was going to meet Laird. DGSE headquarters, Special Service Training Base. A huge conference room was full of people. But the whole room was in darkness. You could hear heavy breathing. You could smell the man's sweat. You could smell cigarettes. The conference room was always silent, as quiet as death. Until a beam of light came on, and the laser projector shone on the special curtain wall. The beam passed through the smoky space and played a strange video recording. The video recording time was the night 3 days ago. Location: the streets along the Saone River. The video recording angle was aimed at the river surface. There were already countless military police and special agents on both sides of the river. There were 2 police helicopters in the sky. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the river surface. But it was immediately locked by the helicopter's searchlight. Immediately afterwards, an incomprehensible scene appeared. A ghost-like figure jumped out of the water. In the conference room, countless people's brains crashed. Jumping out of the water? As long as you are a normal person, you are basically confused. How did he do it? Before the confused people in the conference room could come to their senses, the figure in the video moved. When he moved, he was like a leopard. That's right, that speed was not like that of a human, but more like that of a leopard. His speed was so fast that human reaction nerves could not keep up. He entered a group of special police and snatched 2 MP5 submachine guns. Then he stretched his arms, and flames spurted out of the muzzle, and moved with his arms like a circle. He drew a 360-degree circle. At this time, the projection screen suddenly paused, and a data panel window popped up. The panel showed the rate of fire and data of the gun. The rate of fire of the MP5 submachine gun, 860 rounds/minute. The rate of fire of about 14-15 bullets per second. The standard magazine is 30 rounds of bullets. It only takes about 2 seconds to empty the magazine. Why did this data appear? Because the person who fired with 2 guns emptied 2 magazines in 2 seconds. The key point: 37 SWAT officers were killed. Seeing this data, everyone present was horrified. Let me tell you a funny popular science, which is also a little known fact. The most realistic data on the modern battlefield. Do you know how many bullets it takes to kill a person on average? There are known data. In a certain oil country battlefield, the average number of bullets required by the SAM country soldiers to kill one enemy. It takes about 100 shells, 4,250 bullets, and 30 grenades. If converted into bullets, it would be at least more than 100,000 bullets. Do you think this data is exaggerated? But this is the most realistic battlefield data. Then, in 2 seconds, 2 magazines of 60 bullets killed 37 people. Compared with the most realistic data on the battlefield, what is the concept? Everyone present had numb scalps and chills on their backs. The video recording continued to play. Next, an even more terrifying scene appeared. After killing 37 SWAT officers, the terrifying man ran away at a high speed. He seemed to have a very magical ability to predict. Before someone shoots at him, he can change his direction one step ahead. That kind of evasive ability. Suddenly, the data pop-up window appears again. Every 0.3 seconds, the target can make a dodge. Every 0.5 seconds, the target can make 2 fake moves. The running speed is infinitely close to the peak explosive power of the world's sprinters. The nerve reaction is infinitely close to the extreme reaction of the world's top racing drivers. The video is played again. But the people in the conference room can no longer hear the sound. They seem to have forgotten to breathe. They all stupidly saw that terrifying person who was not human. Disappeared from the surveillance. The video recording ends. However, many people have doubted the authenticity of this surveillance video in their hearts. Because the combat power displayed by that terrifying existence is completely unlike that of a human. It is more like a killing machine, or a humanoid monster. Suddenly, the lights in the conference room are on. Everyone squinted their eyes and adjusted to the light. A man wearing glasses stood up from the front row of chairs and stood in front of the stage. Looking at the conference room, a group of DGSE top special agents, who are also the elites of DGSE. Looking at the expressions of doubt, confusion, disbelief, and scorn. The man sneered, "Do you think this video is fake? It's a movie, it's special effects. It's impossible for this kind of human being to exist." No one answered. But silence is also the best answer. But if I tell you. The man's voice was cold. At this moment, there are hundreds of corpses lying in the morgue, all of them were killed by that person. What do you think? Countless pairs of eyes were dull, and countless pairs of pupils were shrinking crazily. Their expressions all said one thought: impossible. This is the most authentic, real, and terrifying surveillance video. The man took a deep breath and said, "That man is indeed a monster, but he is not a monster either." What's the meaning? Everyone is looking at him. After the judgment given by experts, the man continued, "This man's body values, strength, speed, endurance, coordination, flexibility, reaction, have all reached the peak level of human beings, every one of them." Maybe you don't know what this concept is. To use a metaphor, as long as one of these values reaches the peak, you can become the top entity in a certain industry. For example, Tyson, the Guinness World Heavy Punch record holder, could punch more than 500 kilograms with his left fist at his peak, and more than 800 kilograms with his right fist. If it's a bare fist, being hit with full force by such a fist can break human bones, punch through human chests, and kill a cow easily. But please remember, this is not a monster, this is the peak of human strength, and it is still within the reasonable range of human values. Everyone present was stunned. The opponent is not a monster, but a human being, and has not exceeded the physical limits of the human body. But, the opponent's various human body values are all at their peak. What's the difference between this and a monster? The reason why I let you watch this surveillance video is because I want to tell you. The man's face turned solemn. He's coming. The air froze in an instant. It was so silent that one could hear the heartbeat. It seemed as if every inch of space was filled with invisible terror. Shudder. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kissy. Chapter 402. East of Paris. In the suburb of Bagnolet, the DGSE Tuileries branch camp. In the night, the air was so oppressive that it was suffocating. When the cold wind blew, it was piercingly cold. The moonlight sprinkled on the ground added a touch of weird color to the DGSE branch building. 100 meters away, a high-rise rooftop. Lin Xian was sitting on the edge, smoking a cigarette, Looking at the building, you can feel that the whole building is on alert. Sensing countless dangerous auras inside the building. Those auras are not combat soldiers, but they are infinitely close to combat soldiers. I think they are all top special agents. Some people should have calculated that he would come to Tulare and guessed that he was going to find Deputy Director Laird. The reason is simple. Do you have the guts to frame the dragon people and steal things, and you don't allow the dragon people to retaliate against you? Killing people to pay for their lives and repaying debts is natural. But whether it is seeking revenge, asking for lives, or asking for explanations, you need to have strength. Without strength, you are nothing. It is obvious that DGSE knows Lin Xian's strength. It is even more obvious that Laird is hiding here at this time. Hiding in the branch building in front of you. People know that you are coming to find him. They know how powerful you are. So they set up a trap. Do you want to see Laird? If you want, you have to jump in. As long as you dare to come in, even if you are a monster, you must die. If it were me in my previous life, I would have run away by now. Lin Xian laughed and complained. Get up and jump into the air. But in this life, I am very reckless. Puff. The backpack behind Lin Xian cracked and the paraglider sprayed out. Because the descent speed was too fast, even with the paraglider. Lin Xian's body was also flying towards the branch building. 50 meters, 30 meters, 10 meters, boom. Lin Xian's knee hit the glass of the building. With a bang, the huge floor-to-ceiling window exploded. Glass fragments were flying all over the sky. Lin Xian's feet stepped on the floor of an office hall. Standing leisurely in the hunting wind. He was waiting for everyone to come to the 8th floor. The alarm sounded throughout the branch building. Countless Gallic special agents looked stunned, nervous, and incomprehensible. In their imagination, someone should find a way to sneak in. But they didn't expect that they would invade head-on. Countless people ran madly towards the 8th floor. However, during this process, Lin Xian moved. Not forward but backward. Retreat to the broken floor-to-ceiling window. Retreat again, jump out of the window, vertical drop. Bang. Lin Xian grabbed the window edge of the 4th floor with both hands, buffered, and let go. Descending rapidly again. Bang. His feet landed on the ground on the 1st floor, half squatted, rolled, unloaded, and ejected. All in one go. His body was like a cannonball, hitting a floor-to-ceiling window on the 1st floor. The glass exploded. Lin Xian's feet stepped into an office. He took another step and appeared in front of the door and opened it. When he went out, there were only a few guards on the 1st floor. Lin Xian raised his hands and 2 pistols appeared in his hands. Bang, 7 shots in 1 second. 7 guards were shot dead. Lin Xian walked through the hall and came to the elevator. He waited for 4 seconds and pressed the elevator door. Bang. He shot the monitor and walked into the elevator. When the elevator door closed, Lin Xian pressed, -2. Underground. That's right, underground. Lin Xian jumped up and opened the elevator ceiling emergency door. Climbed to the top of the elevator and entered the elevator shaft. With a jump, he jumped onto the wall ladder in the elevator shaft. Climbing up. The reason for doing this is to mislead the special agents in the building, so that they can't accurately lock their position. When countless Gallic special agents rushed downstairs frantically and rushed to the 2nd underground floor. Lin Xian has reached the top floor of the building, the 10th floor. He pushed open the elevator door with both hands and entered quietly. Sprint. Boom, he broke open a door. He broke into the monitoring room. The monitoring room is on the 10th floor. The monitoring rooms of normal intelligence agencies, important units, and special departments are all on the top floor. Unlike some civilian and public institutions, the monitoring rooms are all on the first floor. Think about it. If the monitoring room is set up on the first floor, once it is breached and occupied, the situation of the entire building is controlled by the enemy, then you are still playing. Wait for death. Bang, 5 shots. 2 guards and 3 monitors were shot dead. Lin Xian glanced at dozens of monitors and saw all the situations in the monitoring. Bang bang bang, 2 pistol magazines were emptied. The power in the monitoring room was destroyed, the monitor host was broken, and the network was destroyed. The temporary monitoring facilities of the entire building were scrapped. Of course, intelligence agencies like the Turelli branch must have backup systems. But it doesn't matter anymore. Just temporarily blind the people in the building. After changing the magazine, Lin Xian walked out of the monitoring room. Now, you can have fun. Walking out of the room, the corridor was dead silent. Lin Xian walked leisurely. Suddenly, he stopped, his body flew into the air, and stuck horizontally to the ceiling of the corridor. He stretched his body, supporting himself at both ends of the corridor with only 1 arm and 2 feet. Like a spider stuck to the ceiling. A group of people ran over quickly. But no one noticed that there was a person right above their heads. Bang, 5 shots in 1 second. Bang, 3 more shots. 8 Gallic special agents were shot in the head and fell down. Lin Xian floated down. Picked up a submachine gun, a pistol, and 4 magazines. Walked down the stairwell and headed to the 9th floor. Suddenly, Lin Xian stopped and tilted his head. Several subtle breathing sounds came into his ears. There were 4 people and guns outside the emergency exit on the 9th floor. Lin Xian's strong sense of smell also made him smell the gun oil. He moved slowly and stood in front of the door slowly. He raised the 2 guns in his hands. Aimed at the door in front of him. Bang. Da-da-da. The pistol and the submachine gun fired at the same time. The 4 people hiding at the door were shot and fell down. Lin Xian smiled silently and opened the door. Ignoring the bodies on the ground, he entered the corridor on the 9th floor. After only 5 steps, Lin Xian's pupils shrank slightly. He sensed 3 powerful auras, comparable to those of a soldier. In an instant, his body tensed, and he suddenly jumped up and landed 4 meters away. He landed on the door frame of an elevator door, supporting the ceiling with 1 hand to stabilize his body. He held a pistol in 1 hand, staring down. Ding, the elevator door opened. 3 figures rushed out. The movement and reaction of these 3 people were extremely fast. One of them even raised his head quickly. He saw Lin Xian above his head. He also saw a pistol spewing flames. Bang, 3 shots. The 3 top special agents were shot in the head and fell down instantly. The cheater is not scary. What is scary is that the cheater is still playing sneak attacks with you. Relieved, Lin Xian jumped to the ground. He looked at a door not far away. His super hearing allowed him to hear that there were many people in this room. Since he heard the gunshots, why didn't the people in the room show up? Because they are protecting someone. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kissy. Chapter 403. Walking to the door, Lin Xian was about to enter. Suddenly, he raised his eyebrows with surprise on his face. I heard the sound of the sliding door coming from the room, and the sound of the elevator descending. Lin Xian's expression changed. It was discovered that someone was escaping using the special elevator in the room. Bang, open the door and rush in. Da-da-da. Gunfire sputtered and bullets came. But Lin Xian, who rushed into the room, was running close to the ground. Bang, 4 shots per second. Two of the four special agents were shot, and the other two fled quickly. Lin Xian frowned for a moment. His body appeared in front of a Secret Service agent who was speeding away. Stretch your right arm. A hand knife was like lightning, slashing at the opponent's throat. Click. Da-da-da. Gunfire came from another Secret Service agent. Lin Xian had risen into the sky and appeared above the special agent. The muzzle of the gun in his hand is pressed against the opponent's head. Bang, headshot. When Lin Xian landed, his body had already hit a bookshelf. Boom. The bookshelf explodes, revealing the elevator shaft inside. Pass through the elevator shaft and hear the elevator pause below. Hear the elevator doors opening. Why are you running to hurt each other? Lin Xian sneered and jumped into the elevator shaft. Fly into the descent and grab the cable again. Barely 2 seconds. Boom. Lin Xian's feet stepped on the elevator roof, stepped through, and appeared in the elevator. Chug tug tug. Da-da-da. Bang bang bang. Terrifying gunfire and dense bullets came towards me. But the moment Lin Xian landed in the elevator, he fell on all fours. Like a humanoid cannonball flying close to the ground, it ejected. But his eyes were fixed on a middle-aged man who ran into the crowd. Laird. Right now. Lin Xian's expression finally changed, and he became so solemn. Not only did he see Laird, he also sensed danger outside the building. Already surrounded by countless soldiers, he felt the aura of dozens of soldiers. So, you are just waiting here for me? Lin Xian had an ominous premonition. Someone is using Laird as bait to lure him here. After thinking about this, Lin Xian's face darkened. Wrong reasoning. That magnetic levitation technical information was not taken away by Laird. This deputy director is just a working lion. What is a working lion? When a pride of lions hunts, it's all the lionesses who hunt. But after catching the prey, it is the male lion, the leader of the pride, who eats it first. What kind of person does it take to use the dignified deputy director of DGSE as a tool? Lin Xian's heart felt a little cold. There are only two possible answers. Director of DGSE? Or the Gallic Chicken executives? But now is not the time to think about that. Someone wants to pile him to death in the DGSE branch building. Lin Xian sneered. If you want to kill me, play boxing with the shadow first. In an instant, Lin Xian appeared next to Laird in a hail of bullets. Snap, grabbed Laird's neck. His body huddled behind Laird. Lin Xian wanted to verify his conjecture. See if the reasoning is correct. The gunfire ceased as Laird was taken hostage. Lin Xian quickly retreated with Laird. But... boom! A sniper rifle roar sounded outside the building. Lin Xian squatted down and quickly retreated. Watch as Laird's head explodes, red and white flying. Woohoo! Lin Xian, who was retreating, sneered and retreated into the stairwell of the building. A deputy director kills whenever he says, he is indeed a tool man. Lin Xian quickly went downstairs, preparing to enter the second underground floor. Want to use the city's drainage system to escape. Unexpectedly, before reaching the second floor, he could sense as many as 30 warrior auras. At the same time, there are hundreds of soldiers. Awesome, Lin Xian's pupils shrank. Someone had calculated all the escape routes and wouldn't give him any chance to escape. Have you ever considered that there is a saying in the Dragon Kingdom, if you know that there are tigers in the mountains, you will go to the Tiger Mountains? Lin Xian's figure rushed into the second underground parking lot. Chug tug tug. Da-da-da. The terrifying gunfire struck instantly. Lin Xian jumped up like a panther in hunting mode, flying against the ceiling above the rain of bullets. The moment he landed, he was unscathed, standing among a group of soldiers. In order to survive, Lin Xian exploded with all his physical strength. At this moment, he was moving like a ghost. Passed by 2 soldiers, click. Cut off the necks of 2 soldiers and took away their weapons. Da-da-da. Unprepared, Lin Xian opened fire with 2 submachine guns. That's how smart he is. Standing among the crowd, only he dared to shoot, but others could not. Otherwise, you will only hurt your companions. But this method can only be used once, just for a moment. After those people have reacted, it doesn't matter who your companions are or not in order to survive. This moment was enough for Lin Xian. In 2 seconds, 2 magazines were emptied, and 30 or 40 soldiers fell to the ground. Chug tug tug. Da-da-da. Countless gunfire attacked Lin Xian. Having emptied the magazine, he had already dropped his weapon and jumped out. Using his hands and feet together, he seemed to be a real cheetah galloping through the crowd. At this moment, the basement seemed to be raining blood. The air was filled with the smell of gunpowder, accompanied by the dull sound of bullets shooting into the human body, which was creepy. In an instant, countless soldiers were accidentally injured and hit by stray bullets. A stream of blood gushed out, dyeing the underground parking lot red. Some people hid everywhere, and some soldiers screamed and cried out in pain. The tragic scene was like being in hell. Lin Xian snatched a rifle again. He ran away and fired at the same time. The bullets were like the sickle of the god of death, ruthlessly harvesting lives. It was just a dozen seconds. Only a dozen of the hundreds of soldiers died. The corpses were left on the ground, and the blood also dyed the earth red. But the bullets continued to whistle, bringing a gust of cold wind. Lin Xian was rushing and hunting, and another 5 seconds passed in the blink of an eye. There was no more gunfire. Hundreds of soldiers, dead. The air around seemed to be solidified by the bloody smell. Lin Xian stood on the ground panting, looking at a spot in the parking lot. You are so cruel. It has been said in the past that soldiers can do anything to hunt. Who could have thought? The Gallic soldiers can even use their own people when they are cruel. Use them to consume Lin Xian's physical strength and energy. Until Lin Xian killed everyone and was exhausted. Bang! The side door of a container truck flipped open and landed. 30 fully armed terrifying figures jumped down. 30 soldiers. A pair of emotionless eyes stared at Lin Xian, as if looking at a corpse. The moment they appeared, Lin Xian, who seemed tired and in a state of exhaustion, suddenly laughed. All the tiredness and weakness disappeared. Not good, the faces of the 30 soldiers changed drastically. He was pretending, and he was fooled. A bunch of idiots, just playing conspiracy and tricks. The dragon country is the ancestor. Lin Xian stomped his feet. Boom! The manhole cover under his feet broke. Lin Xian went underground. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kissy. Chapter 404. When Lin Xian entered the sewage well, the expressions of the 30 soldiers suddenly changed. He jumped up with momentum like a pack of wolves running. The footsteps gathered into a shocking torrent that seemed to be able to tear apart all obstacles. But in just 2 or 3 seconds they ran to the sewage well where Lin Xian jumped into. Suddenly. Bang! Behind them, a dozen meters away, a sewage manhole cover exploded. 30 soldiers had no time to turn around and check. Lin Xian appeared holding 2 micro-punches. Da-da-da. A micro-flush roared and fired. 30 soldiers fled frantically. However, when their bodies moved to avoid, the other gun in Lin Xian's hand was slightly charged, and gunfire roared. The bullets flew and hit a soldier on the head. Penetrate, crush, explode. 9 soldiers died in an instant. How could these soldiers think of it? Faced with their hunting, Lin Xian not only did not run away, but instead set a trap. A brutal sneak attack was carried out on them. Lin Xian fired with 2 micro-punches in his hand. In the blink of an eye, 4 more soldiers fell in a pool of blood. In 2 seconds, 13 soldiers died and 2 microflush magazines were emptied. Lin Xian disappeared into the sewage well. The remaining 17 soldiers were already frightened and had no idea where Lin Xian would appear from again. Everyone was running away frantically, looking for cover. It was at this moment that the body of a dead soldier suddenly moved, attracting countless lines of sight. It was found that an arm stretched out from the sewage well and grabbed the 2 detonation bomb tabs on the soldier's corpse. Not good. All the soldiers closed their eyes, covered their ears with their hands, and lay on the ground. This is the best way to deal with a shock bomb attack. Otherwise, even if they are soldiers, their physical strength exceeds that of ordinary people. You will still be shocked, dizzy, blind, or even comatose. Boom boom. There were 2 roars and explosions. The soldiers opened their eyes quickly. But they saw Lin Xian. 2 pistols were seen pointed at them. Why, the soldiers' brains shut down. Why can he ignore shock bombs? Bang, 10 shots per second. 10 soldiers' eyes were shot through by bullets, and their brains were shredded by bullets. Even in death, their expressions are still blank and confused. It seems like asking again, why won't he be dizzy, blind, or comatose? Seeing his companions being killed, he faced this extremely bloody scene. The remaining 7 soldiers were shattered. He's not a human, he's a demon, they want to get out of here. But when Lin Xian fired, his body had already jumped up. Boom. Another 10 shots per second. The 7 soldiers dodged subconsciously. Lin Xian jumped up and appeared next to the 2 soldiers. The hand that dropped the pistol was like a python with its huge mouth, grabbing their necks. Click, the crisp sound of fractures sounded. However, as Lin Xian waved his arms, the 2 corpses smashed into the 5 soldiers. In the process, his hands took away the self-defense pistols of the 2 soldiers. When the 5 soldiers saw the bodies of their companions coming, they subconsciously avoided them. Bang, 10 shots per second. 5 rounds of bullets blocked the direction in which they were hiding. 5 bullets were fired into their foreheads. Either you hide or you don't hide, you will get shot. Lin Xian put down his pistol. With a pop, 5 corpses fell down. Lin Xian's body swayed and he sat down on the ground. This time, he really started to breathe. Hunting and killing 30 soldiers, almost all of them were sneak attacks. It took a lot of physical energy and energy. It won't work without a sneak attack. You might die if you confront him. After only resting for more than 10 seconds, Lin Xian quickly stood up. Collect weapons and jump into the sewage well. Tens of seconds later, countless secret services and soldiers rushed into the underground parking lot. When I saw corpses all over the ground. Vomit. Someone couldn't hold it back and vomited. Even when he was vomiting, there was a faint hint of fear in his voice. Everyone present felt chilled. Looking at the mountain of corpses and sea of blood in front of him. Is this really something one person can do? However, once fear arises in human hearts, they will lose their composure. At this moment, in a sewage well, 2 hands quietly stretched out. On each palm, there are 3 grenades with the tabs pulled off. Throw it out quickly. Bang bang, the grenade flying in the air bounced off the grip. When everyone heard the sound of metal friction, they looked towards the source of the sound. Silly. I watched stupidly as 6 grenades fell into the crowd like a goddess scattering flowers. Boom boom boom. 6 grenades exploded. Some people were blown away, and some were knocked down by fragments. In just one moment, 50 or 60 people fell to the ground. At the same time, inside the sewage well, 2 assault rifles quietly stretched out. Chug tug tug. Both guns fired simultaneously. A violent storm of bullets penetrated the heads of countless special agents and soldiers. Just a moment, maybe 2 seconds. More than 40 people fell to the ground again. 6 grenades and 60 bullets took away hundreds of lives. The whole process took less than 7 seconds. The remaining people were all frightened out of their minds, even to the point of peeing in fear. Even the military, even the Secret Service. When have they ever seen such a horrific slaughter? And in their hearts, they saw hundreds of people being slaughtered. They were their comrades, colleagues, and people they spent every day with. In an instant, they collapsed. Would Lin Xian miss this opportunity? No. 2 arms stretched out from another sewage well and threw out 6 grenades again. They fell in front of the remaining people. Boom boom boom. Then 2 assault rifles with magazines replaced stretched out. Bang bang bang. When the magazines were emptied, the whole basement was silent. The smell of blood, stench, and excrement floated in the air. Lin Xian climbed out of the sewage well and walked into the sea of blood and corpses. His super hearing allowed him to look everywhere. Bang bang bang, bullets were fired one after another. Until Lin Xian stopped and confirmed that there were no living people. He dropped the rifle and picked up 2 pistols. Instead of escaping from the sewage well, he walked towards the stairwell step by step. At this moment, Lin Xian's eyes no longer had any luster, but instead revealed a violent grayness. He re-entered the DGSE branch building and crawled into an exhaust vent. In the exhaust duct, he crawled slowly. Entered the main duct and climbed into the first floor. Second floor, third floor, 10th floor. Stopped and did not move. He was waiting to see if someone would show up. I don't believe that hundreds of people died, and that person would come to see. About an hour or so, a helicopter landed on the apron of the building. An office lady got off the helicopter and entered the building. When Lin Xian saw her, a cold look appeared in his eyes. This script is wrong, and it underestimates the shamelessness of some people. They actually sent a woman over? But it doesn't matter. Lin Xian quietly opened the exhaust vent baffle. Climbed out. Landed behind the office lady and 4 bodyguards. Silent grin. Beauty, I want to play a game with you. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kissy. Chapter 405. Bang, 4 shots per second. 4 rounds were fired from a silenced pistol. The 4 bodyguards fell, and the OL girl turned around in shock. Snapped. Her white neck was held by the palm of her hand. Pulling in front of a face, he met a pair of violent eyes. The girl's face turned pale instantly. A pair of bright eyes widened, full of fear and anxiety. You know who I am, right? Lin Xian looked at the face so close. I know, just blink. The girl blinked quickly without any hesitation. Of course she knew who was in front of her. It became clearer how terrifying Lin Xian was. Moreover, she doesn't want to die. I like obedient women. Lin Xian smiled. You must be very obedient, right? The girl blinked desperately. Ha, Lin Xian held her neck and dragged her into the room like a dead dog. Close the door. You have a minute. Lin Xian let go of the girl's neck. Tell me who your master is, where the magnetic levitation technical information is, whose dog Laird is, who is framing the people of the Dragon Kingdom, and what methods can be used to get the men imprisoned in the dark rescue the Longguo people from prison. The girl's expression kept changing. Think in a very short time. Thinking about how to reply to Lin Xian's desired answer in the short time remaining. Let Lin Xian be satisfied. Only in this way can she survive. My master is the director of DGSE, and I am his secretary. The magnetic levitation technical information is in the hands of the director. Laird is the director's dog. It was Laird who framed the Dragon Kingdom spy on his own initiative. The girl said quickly, it's very simple to rescue the Dragon Nation man who is imprisoned in the Black Prison. I can do it now. Lin Xian looked at the woman in front of him who had given him a surprise. Why can she release Ye Zhepeng from the DGSE Black Jail? Because at some point, she can completely represent the DGSE director himself. Her words are equivalent to an order from the DGSE director. It turns out that the one who framed Ye Zhepeng was Deputy Director Laird, who was good at making decisions. The person who asked Laird to steal magnetic levitation technical information was actually the director of DGSE. All because of this DGSE director? Haha. Lin Xian asked with a smile, why did he do this? The DGSE director is sometimes just the dog of some big shots. The girl was respectful. It's normal for big shots to want to exchange benefits with other countries on magnetic levitation technology. This is indeed normal and very Western. Lin Xian had a complicated expression. Those Westerners only care about personal interests. As for whether the country survives or not, is it related to them? Now, immediately. Lin Xian looked at the girl in front of him and said, let the Dragon Kingdom man get out of the prison and send him out as quickly as possible. Good. Without hesitation, the girl took out her mobile phone and made a call. Deputy Director Gulen, please release the Dragon Kingdom spy now, quickly. Don't ask too many questions, just know that we are fishing. That's right, don't send anyone to follow him, and don't get close to him, do you understand? The conversation between the two parties lasted only 10 seconds. The girl put down her phone and looked at Lin Xian. Still the same obedient person. Lin Xian looked at her and felt an impulse for the first time. I want to let her go. But this impulse just appeared. Click, Lin Xian broke the girl's neck. Well-behaved, obedient, considerate, smart, and capable, can execute your orders perfectly and achieve the results you want as quickly as possible. Moreover, he also has the face of a Western angel. How many men wouldn't like such a woman? Lin Xian finally understood. Why would such a woman become the person close to the DGSE director? What a terrible woman. The girl fell down. He opened his pitiful eyes and looked at Lin Xian. He didn't seem to understand why he killed her. Why are you willing to kill her? You are the second woman I have seen in my life who has good acting skills. Lin Xian smiled slightly, but one is enough for me. Who is the first one? The girl opened her mouth. Unfortunately, she was no longer breathing. Looking at Lin Xian with eyes wide open. Beauty is indeed the most effective weapon against men. Lin Xian withdrew his gaze and stopped looking at her. Turn around and walk out of the room, onto the rooftop. Seriously, get on a helicopter. Hijack, fly away. DGSE headquarters, director's office. Lisa, dead. The old man holding the phone was stunned. His expression was a bit incredulous. How could that fox die? The old man was silent for a long time. Did the man from the Dragon Kingdom kill her? Yes. A respectful and humble tone came from the receiver. 30 soldiers, 67 special agents, and 212 soldiers, were all killed by him alone. At this time, you can hear the other person's words. With a trembling tone and endless fear. The old man was silent again. He was stunned in his chair as if he was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. After being stunned for half a minute, he said, "Prepare the helicopter and take me to the underground safe house." "Yes," the subordinate replied quickly. "It's a coincidence." At this time, a helicopter landed at the DGSE headquarters. A man got off the helicopter and entered the DGSE headquarters building. After a while, the old man stood up and walked to a wall in the office. He took down a mural. He stretched out his old palm and pressed it on the smooth wall. Ding! The electronic reminder sounded. The wall was split open and a secret compartment appeared. There were many items inside. But the old man only took out a USB flash drive. When he saw the USB flash drive, his expression was complicated. It was because of the things in the USB flash drive that the monster from Longwo was attracted. And he knew very well that the monster should come to find him at this time. 30 combat soldiers, 67 special agents, 212 soldiers, couldn't stop him. The DGSE headquarters in front of him was just a joke to that monster, right? If he didn't leave, he would die. After taking out the USB flash drive, the old man picked up the landline and made a call. The phone number of DGSE Black Prison. Bring out the spy from Longwo and send him to me. The old man ordered in a deep voice. As a result, he was stunned. His subordinates actually told him that the Dragon Country spy was released. It was his secretary, Lisa's order. Haha. The old man laughed at himself and put down the phone. Now is not the time to think about these things. When he arrives at a safe place, he will slowly cook up the Dragon Country monster. Walk out of the office. A group of guards followed him. Get on the exclusive elevator and prepare to enter the top floor. However, at this moment, the old man suddenly froze. See a guard in the elevator raise his hands. Click, click, click. Break the necks of the other 3 guards. The guard slowly turned around and looked at the old man. Old man, you are hiding very well. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kissy-Eunjeon. Chapter 406. The 2 people looked at each other calmly. Adrian narrowed his eyes and looked at the guard in front of him. To be precise, he looked at the Dragon Country monster in front of him. He sighed, you should know that I didn't do this. During an avalanche, no snowflake will come out to apologize. Lin Xian raised his arms, they all say they are innocent. At this moment, the elevator door opened and arrived at the top floor. Puff. Lin Xian's silencer pistol sprayed 2 bullets. The 2 guards outside the elevator were shot in the eyebrows. Let's go. Lin Xian put down the pistol and walked out of the elevator. Adrian sighed again, walked out of the elevator, and followed Lin Xian. The 2 came to the rooftop of the DGSE headquarters building and stopped. They seemed to be looking at the scenery and looking into the distance. Adrian found that the little guy beside him was extremely calm. It also made him feel a little uneasy and angry. The thing is on you. Lin Xian's tone was calm and casual. Yeah. Adrian nodded and took out a USB drive for him. The contents of the USB drive were very important. But it didn't matter if he gave it away, he had a lot of backups. Sometimes I'm curious. Lin Xian looked at the USB drive in his hand and sneered, what do you think of your country? Haha. Adrian smiled softly and shook his head, I have despised my soul 7 times, and I have asked myself like you do now, what is a country? The first time I could have been aggressive, but I pretended to be humble, timid. The second time I was empty, I filled myself with lust. The third time I was hesitating between difficulty and ease, laziness. The fourth time I made a mistake but comforted myself that others also made mistakes, stupid. The fifth time I was weak but thought life was strong, tough, weak. The sixth time I saw an ugly face in the mirror, evil. The seventh time I was trapped in the mud of life and was afraid to move forward. I actually became a greedy waste. Adrian smiled at Lin Xian, what have you become? Me. Lin Xian thought for a while, I am a human being. People are timid, fearful, compromising, hypocritical, hesitant, and will jump back and forth on the bottom line again and again. But he looked at the old man in front of him and smiled like the sun, I am very grateful that I have never become another person and have never wavered. Adrian's pupils shrank slightly. I have never seen a person with such a firm mind. His eyes, as calm as a lake, were dim. In his mind, it seemed that a revolving lantern appeared. I thought of the girl I once loved, and even more of my illegitimate son, and my lovely granddaughter. But it was only a moment, and Adrian's scattered eyes quickly closed. In this life, he has experienced too many life and death moments, always looking for opportunities. Adrian took out his last trump card. I can become a dog of Longwo, et. Crack. Lin Xian waved his hand and cut off Adrian's neck. Watching the old man in front of him slowly fall down. Longwo sometimes raises dogs. Lin Xian said in a light tone, but, a dog that can even sell out its own country, this kind of dog, we dare not raise in Longwo. The old man who fell to the ground was so unbelievable and so stunned. He looked at Lin Xian with a trace of incredible expression in his eyes. Finally, he twitched a few times and stopped breathing. Lin Xian raised his head and took a deep breath. Then he exhaled a breath of turbid air. Thoughts are clear. Xie Hepeng is on the run. And on the way to escape, he once suspected that DGSE might be crazy. Why did they release him? Why not monitor him? Why? Countless question marks kept appearing in his mind. It is so unreasonable and so incredible. Even from time to time, Xie Hepeng's brain would crash. One day, he left Paris and went to a remote place. He didn't dare to contact the national security people, worried that this was a trap. He kept moving, hiding, and Xie Hepeng, who was eating bread in a car, forgot to chew. He stared at a person sitting on the curb not far away with his eyes wide open in disbelief. The man was looking at the sky, smoking a cigarette with a smile. The sun was setting. The soft sunlight was like a golden ribbon, gently falling on the man. His outline was soft in the afterglow, as if he was covered with a layer of light. Excited, ecstatic, tearful, Xie Hepeng didn't know how to describe himself. He didn't know how this person did it. But at this moment, Xie Hepeng could completely let go of his heart. He also remembered what the other party said to him. Give me a chance, give yourself a hope, let's try. He really did it. Xie Hepeng sighed and opened the car door. He walked slowly to the man's side and sat on the curb, watching the sunset with him. Are you scared? Lin Xian picked up the cigarette box and lighter and put them in Xie Hepeng's hands. Yes, I am. Xie Hepeng nodded with a smile, took out a cigarette and lit it, took a deep puff, and fell in love with it. I remember one time after many of our brothers trained together, we found a small restaurant to eat. Some people say that to celebrate the fact that our brothers have passed the training and will work together to defend our country, we must not get drunk today. Some people also said that this is the last drink. Everyone's work will be different in the future, and it will be very, very difficult to meet again. Some people also said, let's have a drink and take a group photo together. After thinking about it, take out the photo and look at it. Don't forget about the brothers. Xie Hepeng smoked a cigarette and smiled happily. Smiling and laughing, tears streaming down my face. Lin Xian smoked silently. How many brothers? 3, 2 died in the country, and 1 is like me. Xie Hepeng smiled and murmured, but I'm not as lucky as I am. I don't even know where the bones went. Are you afraid of being like them? Lin Xian sighed. Yes, I'm afraid. Xie Hepeng nodded and shed tears. If I die, I will really forget the 3 of them. Then no one will be able to remember the 3 of them anymore. The end of life is not death, but forgetfulness. Lin Xian stared blankly at the sunset, watching it slowly set. Watched the darkness slowly swallowing the light. Slowly turned his head and looked at Xie Hepeng. His body was covered with a layer of black, and the light disappeared. Who said that only those who stand in the light are heroes? How many people can see the nameless person lying in the darkness? Lin Xian raised his hand and put his arm around Xie Hepeng's shoulders. Together they looked at the darkening night sky. Nothing to feel sad about. Look. The sky will always be bright. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kissy. Chapter 407. Winter, Beijing. The airport's runway was covered with a thin layer of snow. It's like a giant white dragon stretching out. A plane landed slowly, causing snowflakes to dance all over the sky. Meow, the police carried the tripod, and the National Security Guard carried the tripod. The three elders stood outside the runway, seemingly not seeing the snowstorm. There is a kind of calmness that has accumulated over the years. The plane stopped and the passenger elevator arrived. Two figures walked out of the cabin and walked down the passenger elevator. The snow is heavy. Lin Xian stood in front of the three old people and saluted. Mission completed. Department of Homeland Security. In a lounge, three old men looked at Lin Xian in front of them. Looking at the USB flash drive placed on the coffee table, he was calm when it disappeared. The three pairs of eyes are deep and bright, revealing wisdom and insight. I can no longer maintain a normal mind. Lin Xian's trip to Gall Chicken took away more than 400 lives. Director of DGSE, Deputy Director of DGSE, 52 soldiers, 2 top special operations platoons, countless Gallic Chicken special services, countless Gallic Chicken soldiers. Such a horrific, bloody, and violent record. It scared too many people. But at this time, this scary little guy started pretending again. There was a harmless expression on his handsome face. His eyes also looked timid. When you blink your eyes, you will look pitiful, as if you are being bullied and complaining to your parents. If the three old people hadn't gone through too many ups and downs, they still maintained their inner peace and tenacity. Facing Lin Xian's face, maybe he can really laugh. How did you have the nerve to pretend to be a little white rabbit? Do you know that you are about to be killed by 1,000 people? This kind of killing of thousands of people was done by Lin Xian himself. Break down the history. How many such 1,000-person killings have appeared? Have you forgotten what I told you? Mu Lao had a stern look on his face. Ah, this. Lin Xian's eyes rolled around, with a look of aggrievement on his face. I was acting in self-defense. Ha ha. The third elder laughed. This is good for self-defense, don't use it next time. Lin Xian laughed and had no moral integrity at all. You are still a newbie in Novice Village. The three of them are all full-level bosses. What should I do if I don't apologize? Let's go back. Mu Lao put away his smile and said, the Chinese New Year is coming soon, don't forget to come and give us New Year greetings then. Lin Xian was stunned. Then I remembered that it was already the end of December. It's New Year's Day soon. After New Year's Day, there are still 20 days left to celebrate the Spring Festival. Did time pass so quickly? Suddenly, he felt homesick. I want to go back and see my parents, and think of my two sisters. It seems that he has been running around all this year and spends too little time with his relatives. No matter what tasks, what achievements, or festivals, none of them are as important as family members at this moment. Lin Xian stood up and looked at the three old people. He said calmly, it's time for me to go home. Under the surprised looks of the three old men, they turned and left. The three old men looked at each other and laughed dumbly. How many people today dare to leave without them opening their mouths? However, Lin Xian is really qualified now. Be able to pretend to be a little white rabbit in front of them. That's all to give these old guys face. When will the wedding be held? Qiuan Zhongding looked at Mu Lao, with a rare look of expectation in his eyes. It's not enough, we have to wait a while. Mu Lao sighed, he wants to marry two at once. Ha ha. The policeman laughed and nodded, we didn't even dare to think about this kind of dream in the past. Yes. Mu Lao also smiled, but, he is going to do it. The other two old men were stunned. Yeah, he's almost there. And this time it was another great achievement, a military achievement. Thinking of Lin Xian's contribution, the third elder's head began to hurt again. How to give? There is nothing left to give. He is only 22 years old. The police rank is over. The military ranks are over. The level is over. His meritorious deeds have also been rewarded with the top honorary titles in the military. If you give it again, it will be the third chapter of the 5 chapters. How could it be given to him? Mu Lao sighed again, it's troublesome. This is not a good thing. Change to ancient times. The little guy's head has already fallen to the ground. It's like, your contribution is too great. The emperor cannot reward you or give you credit. You can't be a king or a country, right? So there was no time to shake hands when we said goodbye. Let's have some snacks in the next life. It doesn't matter, no one dares to chop off his head now. Qiuan Zhongding smiled and said, he is a treasure now, and there are many places where he can be used. Besides, there are old guys like us protecting him, who dares to touch him? The 3 elders all laughed. Yes. Now no one dares to touch Lin Xian. The Lu Mu family alone is enough for anyone to drink a pot. Moreover, there are police, national security, and even guards who are optimistic about the little guy. Mr. Lu told them that the security guard wanted Lin Xian to take a job. Another point. The relationship between Lin Xian and Takeo is also very good. I don't want to know, I'm scared when I think about it. The 3 elders were stunned. The little guy has grown to this point? You can already fight with them. Snowflakes are falling. Falling on branches, roofs, streets. The whole world is immersed in a white silver dress. In the courtyard, 2 beauties are squatting on the ground, grabbing a bunch of white snow and making a small snowman in laughter. As they move, the body of the snowman gradually takes shape. A round head, big eyes, a pointed nose, and a smiling mouth. Although the snowman is very small, it is lifelike. Looking at it, the faces of the 2 sisters are filled with satisfaction and joy. Suddenly, as if they have a telepathic connection, the sisters raised their heads and looked at a place. A tall figure was leaning against the wall, tilting his head slightly, smiling. Beat you to death. Mu Qingtian grabbed a ball of snow and threw it at her stinky brother in a coquettish way. Lin Xian smiled and raised his hand, easily grabbed it, and his palm was folded. It turned into 2 small snowballs and threw them at the 2 sisters. 2 snowflakes exploded above their heads. Mu Qingtian screamed. Mu Qingjian was angry. Lin Xian was sighing at the personalities of his 2 sisters. Mu Qingtian is the type who will giggle if you tease her, and will beat you if you tease her. Mu Qingjian, on the other hand, is too intelligent, cold, and aloof, and you will only embarrass yourself if you tease her. At this time, both sisters grabbed 2 balls of snow and threw them at Lin Xian. Laughter and joy echoed in the cold air. The 3 siblings happily played snowballs in the snow and chased each other. Whether it was exclamations or laughter, they were full of carefreeness. Until Lin Xian was pressed to the ground by the sisters and threw himself into his arms. Tired of playing and making enough noise, they lay in the snow, watching the snowflakes fall. Feeling a kind of peace and carefreeness that they had never felt before. Lin Xian was thinking. Why do I like them? Maybe the heart decides things, and the mouth can't explain. But with them, the world is no longer so bad. What I mean is, winter is cold, and they are warm. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Qiuan. Chapter 408. December 31st, the 3rd day of the 12th lunar month. This is a special day. According to some folk customs, if you do 3 things on the 3rd day of the 12th lunar month, you will avoid disasters in the coming year. Burning incense, cleaning, reunion dinner. Early in the morning, the three siblings started to get busy. It was the last day of 2016. A lot of gifts were prepared, and all the relatives were prepared. The three siblings were playing and moving gifts to the car. Don't you want to change it? Looking at the King Carl man in front of her, Mu Qingjian turned her head and looked at Lin Xian. I remember that her sports car was blown up. I listened to my sister's nonsense and bought a sturdy one. As a result, she almost never drove this car and gave it to her brother. But Lin Xian treated it as a treasure and liked it very much. No. Lin Xian put down the gift bag and touched his car. We have feelings. Really? Mu Qingtian jumped over and hugged his neck, saying delicately, we have feelings as well, we want to be each other's angels. To be each other's shit, is that so heavy? Lin Xian teased his sister as if it had become a daily routine, I'm the god, you're the shit. You bastard. Mu Qingtian was so angry that she punched her stinky brother. Hit her hands and hurt, and she said pitifully, it hurts, sob, sob. Hit someone and still complain about it, she will cry sooner or later. Lin Xian was exhausted and rubbed her little hands. Wait for the three siblings to pack the gifts happily. Lin Xian took his two sisters to run to each relative's home. It wasn't until the afternoon that he returned to his parents' home. Lu Yunqing prepared a large table of food early. When Lin Dong came back in the evening, the family sat around the dining table and enjoyed the warm reunion dinner. The room was filled with the atmosphere of happiness and satisfaction, and everyone's face was filled with joyful smiles. After dinner, the women were responsible for chattering in the living room. Lin Xian and Lin Dong were responsible for washing dishes in the kitchen. The position of the younger brother in the family is very clear. Dad, you should fight back. You can't be oppressed by my mother all the time. Lin Xian sneered, what do you think? Forget it, your little tricks are all left over from your father. Lin Dong was disdainful, I think you are itching for trouble. Don't be like this, I just want to be filial to you. Lin Xian began to maliciously fish, by the way, I heard that a bath center opened downstairs from our house, how about I take you there to see it? Dad, do you know what a big sword is? Haha, a big sword. Lin Dong sneered, okay, do you have money now? Lin Xian. Thinking of the salary card being firmly controlled by the sisters. Suddenly, I felt so heartbroken that I couldn't breathe. Not going to the bath center. Lin Dong sneered, I'm not kidding you, do you have 1,000 yuan in cash in your pocket now? Lin Xian wanted to cry but had no tears. I can't believe that I, the great police king, have ended up like this. I'm sorry, I've embarrassed the reborn again. Old Lin, you can do it? Lin Xian glared at his father, you know you've diverted the blame, and even your son laughed at you. What a joke. Lin Dong was proud, you'd better wait until Dad has time to take you to learn more. As for hiding private money, I have more than 20 years of experience than you. You're still proud. Lin Xian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Speaking of private money, it reminds me that when I was in elementary school, you only gave me 10 yuan pocket money every month. What's wrong, is it too much? Lin Dong said seriously, it doesn't matter, we are father and son, don't be too grateful to me. Lin Xian rolled his eyes, thinking that he was not proficient in Chinese enough, only 10 yuan a month, I can't even buy a bottle of mineral water for 1 yuan a day. Am I going to school or playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds? Buying water to drink? Lin Dong sneered, can you afford it? Lin Xian. This is your real father. There is fatherly love, but not much. If you talk like this, capitalists will cry when they see you. When I was in junior high school, you only gave me 200, and 500 when I was in high school. Lin Xian glared, Dad, tell me the truth, Did you deduct my pocket money? Is your dad that kind of person? Lin Dong said seriously, but he looked guilty. Your mom really only gave me this much. He Lin Xian pouted. It's good to have pocket money. Lin Dong changed the subject. When your dad was a child, there was no pocket money for me. Your grandfather's big cunt pocket ate a lot. So pitiful. Lin Xian rolled his eyes, took out a cigarette, and handed it to Lin Dong attentively. Dad, smoke. Where's the fire? Lin Dong proudly held the cigarette in his mouth. Dad, let me ask you something. Lin Xian smiled evilly. Puff. Lin Dong spit out the cigarette, with a serious face. If you have something to say, tell me. There is no need for us to do this. Dad will support you if the sky falls. I believe it. Lin Xian's mind is full of complaints, and he doesn't know how to complain. Dad, have you ever quarreled with my mother? Yes. Lin Dong looked sad. Every time your mother beats me, I want to divorce her, but then I think about it and I will get through it if I endure it. Lin Xian silently raised his thumb. True man. The main reason is that I can't beat her. Lin Dong wanted to cry, but he had no tears. Your mother is very fierce in fighting. Puff, Lin Xian burst out laughing. But thinking that he was also beaten to the ground by his two sisters. His smile froze on his face. The father and son looked at each other and had the illusion that they were connected by the same fate. It's so hard for men. Have you ever fought with them? Lin Dong was curious about his son's life and how the three of them get along. No fighting. Lin Xian thought for a while. It's like playing landlord. Landlord. Lin Dong was a little confused. What do you mean? When I have a king in my hand, it can only be the biggest single card, but sometimes, it can't even handle three. Lin Xian was proud, but when I have a pair of kings, this is the biggest combination in landlord. Lin Dong's expression changed. After all, he was a professor. He understood his son's words in an instant. Is Lin Xian talking about landlord? No, he is talking about love. If one person gives, he is a clown. But if they run in both directions, that is true love. The kings are in the hands of the right people. One is called Joker, two are called aces. As for the three, Lin Dong looked at his son. Daddy gives you full marks for pretending. What are you two doing while washing dishes? Lu Yunqing opened the kitchen door, stared at the father and son smoking, and said, I'll smoke you to death sooner or later. I don't know what's so good about that cigarette. The father and son trembled. It's not me, Xiaoxian gave it to me. Lin Dong sold his son without hesitation. Lin Xian was short of breath. Damn, Daddy, think twice before you act. Forget it. Let's just forget about each other. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kisiung. Chapter 409. In the quiet night, there was only the sound of snowflakes falling gently. Street lamps cast mottled light and shadow on the snow. It makes people feel peaceful and peaceful, purified by this pure snow scene. Lin Xian was wearing a thick down jacket, holding two soft little hands in his pockets. I stood in Tiananmen Square with my two sisters. Tiananmen Square in the heavy snow is covered in silver. Against the background of snowflakes, the tower looks more towering, solemn, and magnificent. The red walls and gold tiles complement the white snow and complement each other with the surrounding lights. Creates a dream-like feeling. However, today, countless tourists stop here. They were admiring the rare beauty and took out their mobile phones to take photos. Some people continue to wait here, waiting for the bell to ring on New Year's Eve. Is it cold? Lin Xian looked at them. The Mu sisters were wearing the same couple-sized down jackets as him and cute velvet hats. They were dressed like two snowmen carved in pink and jade. They shook their heads together and blinked at him. One looks like a goddess and the other looks like a goblin. Lin Xian turned around and held them in his arms. He used his body to shield them from the wind and snow. Both sisters leaned quietly in his arms. Press your head against his chin. They smiled as they looked at each other. Mu Qingtian naughtily approached her sister and kissed her lips. Mu Qingjian rolled her eyes and bit her sister's nose. It's like being back as a child, acting coquettishly and having fun in the arms of my parents. It feels really good to be cared for. Smelly baby, they say it's not easy to get married after you've been in love for a long time. Mu Qingtian raised her head and looked at him with a smile. What do you think? I think you have something serious. Lin Xian lowered his head and kissed her red lips. After kissing, he thought about it and nodded, but it's true. When I was in the police academy, I had a buddy who had been in love with his girlfriend for 4 years. After graduation, they fell in love. We lived together and agreed to get married, but they broke up after living together for a month. Why? Mu Qingjian was a little surprised. My buddy said that we are no longer in a position to get married. Lin Xian's face was filled with a joking smile. Then he told us that saying you want to get married is actually a state. This state can last for a few months, or it can last for 3 or 4 years, but if you talk for too long, it's not you don't want to get married, and it's not that she doesn't want to get married. It's just that after a couple has been together for too long, they no longer have the original urge to get married. The sisters looked at each other and thought about it. That seems to be the case. Whether they get married or not is no longer important to them. The important thing is that we can be together and see him every day, which is enough. Although I don't know why he broke up, there were a few days when he temporarily stayed at my house because he was looking for a house. Lin Xian smiled and said, in the first 2 days after I came here, he told me that he was very happy after breaking up. It was really easy to live alone. He didn't have to be controlled by anyone. He didn't have to hide outside when he smoked. He could play games as long as he wanted. I played until what time, and even told me that before I officially retired from the police force, I should go out and have fun, keep fit, and learn to swim. Are you really that happy? Mu Qingtian's peach blossom eyes shone with a strange luster. Like a vigilant little fox, staring at his younger brother. He looked like he would break his brother's legs if he dared to run away. Mu Qingjian was more direct and put her hand on Lin Xian's waist. What is the cruelest thing? For a man, break 3 of his legs. For a male dog, break all 5 of its legs. Lin Xian looked at the hands under his belt and almost knelt down. Continue. Mu Qingjian narrowed her beautiful eyes, as if she wanted to knife someone. Later, some of our classmates often went out to drink and have fun. Lin Xian twitched the corner of his mouth, but this buddy of mine is very energetic. Whenever someone says he wants to leave, he will always try to persuade him to stay. But some of those classmates said they would go to accompany their girlfriends, and some said they would pursue girls. Friend. Every time at the end, we are the only 2 singles left drinking in silence. The funniest thing is that one day we went to an internet cafe to surf the internet and we ran into his ex-girlfriend. At that time, I could clearly see that when they looked at each other, their eyes were bright and gentle. At that time, I was thinking, why did they break up and why didn't they go to the end? My buddy told me that it was actually because of his girlfriend's parents. Originally, they really wanted to get married. But in the end, his girlfriend's parents asked him for 200,000 yuan, and he couldn't get even a penny less. At that time, he cried and said, "Those women always say that men are bad and scumbags. Who made men become like this?" Lin Xian sighed. An ancestor once said something like this: if you are a licker, women will despise you; if you are a scumbag, women will despise you; when you really want to get married, they will come to you again. If you can't get the bride price, then what is a good man and what is a bad man? The Mu sisters were shaken and hugged their brother tightly. Because of this bride price, my buddy split it with his girlfriend. Lin Xian smiled, but, only a week has passed, and my buddy has started to be in a daze from time to time. From time to time, he takes out his mobile phone and opens the photos of his ex-girlfriend. He can look at them for a long time. And after. Mu Qingtian's voice was particularly soft and cute. Later. Lin Xian smiled happily, they got married. Ah! The two girls exclaimed, getting married. Didn't you expect it? Lin Xian laughed and hugged them tightly. My buddy's ex-girlfriend stole the household registration book. That day, she braved the heavy rain and ran to the hotel. She called my buddy and said one sentence, there was thunder outside and I was scared. My buddy collapsed at the time, put on his clothes and ran out. The next day, they got the marriage certificate. Mu Qingjian and Mu Qingtian heard this. Happy smiles appeared on their beautiful faces. It was at this time. 10, 9, 8, 3, 2, 1. Happy 2017. Happy New Year. Cheers rang out in the square. The tourists shouted, waved, and laughed happily. Boom, a New Year's fireworks bloomed in the sky. The colorful light was printed on the three siblings. They looked at the cheering crowd and the fireworks in the sky. Lin Xian lowered his head and kissed his two sisters. He turned around and looked at the Tiananmen gate. He slowly raised his hand and saluted. The Mu sisters smiled gently and looked at their brother who saluted. When Lin Xian put down his hand, they held his arm. The three siblings walked towards home. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Qiseung. Chapter 410. Back home, feeling the warmth coming towards him, Lin Xian greedily took a deep breath. He walked towards the kitchen arrogantly. I'll make supper tonight. The two sisters looked at each other and were stunned. They knew what Lin Xian's cooking skills were. That was no longer cooking, that was poisoning. In less than 20 minutes, Lin Xian proudly brought out a pot. He cooked a pot of noodles. Mu Qingjian and Mu Qingtian looked at each other, hugged each other and laughed on the sofa. It was very strange. It was obviously junk food, a few packs of instant noodles. But the three siblings ate it so sweetly. Someone asked, what is the real delicacy? Is it the ingredients? Is it the cooking skills? Neither. Even if it is the best delicacies, you will always feel something is missing when you eat it alone. But when you eat with someone you like, even if it is porridge and side dishes, you can taste the taste of happiness. After eating the noodles, Mu Qingjian washed the dishes, and Lin Xian hugged her to make trouble. Mu Qingtian hugged her brother and continued to make trouble. The goddess was very angry. She really wanted to pick up a kitchen knife and chop them both. Stinky baby, when the sisters get old and go ahead of you, will you find another one immediately? Mu Qingtian hummed and acted like a spoiled child, wanting to hear love words. No. Lin Xian looked at her with contempt. I definitely can't do that kind of thing. Ha ha. Joy spread in her heart. Mu Qingtian hugged her brother and kissed him. Really? Of course. Lin Xian grinned. It has to be the first 7 days, otherwise I'm worried that others will tease me. Mu Qingtian. Mu Qingjian. The next second, Lin Xian was beaten by the two sisters. Delaying one more second is disrespectful to the brother. Don't worry. Mu Qingjian sneered, her tone was extremely firm, I will come back to pick you up on the first 7 days. So cruel, Lin Xian trembled, and was defeated by his sister's mouth for the first time. Are you scared? Mu Qingtian winked and laughed, pinching her waist, I'll scare you to death. I'm wrong, isn't that enough? Lin Xian begged for mercy, how about waiting for 100 days? Are you hoping we'll die sooner? Mu Qingjian laughed angrily and kicked him several times. No, absolutely not. Lin Xian smiled apologetically. Why not? Mu Qingtian pouted and rolled her eyes charmingly. You promised that you would only look for us in this life. Yes. Lin Xian nodded, I didn't lie. Sisters. Look, you left. Lin Xian spread his hands, isn't this life over? Haha. The sisters couldn't help laughing. They punched all kinds of pink fists, trying to beat this cunning brother to death. When they had enough, Mu Qingtian hugged him and acted like a spoiled child again. She got scared again after being glared at by Lin Xian, humming and moaning. Finally, the dishes were washed. The three siblings were not sleepy. They curled up on the sofa like in the past, eating snacks like little hamsters and watching stupid dramas. Heh, men. Mu Qingtian pointed at the male protagonist in the TV series and pouted. The female protagonist rushed to marry him, but he didn't agree. If he agreed, how would the show go on? Lin Xian was happy. Don't men like to get married? Mu Qingjian leaned against her brother and asked with a smile. Don't make a fuss, I can't wait to get married now. Lin Xian was depressed. What about you? Mu Qingtian tilted her head and bit his ear. Other boys. Lin Xian had a toothache. I feel that they may really not like to get married in 7 or 8 years. It's not possible, but those men don't want to get married. They are scared and start to play badly. What poor boys. Mu Qingjian smiled elegantly, are you all scared of girls? As a woman, is there anyone who understands women better than women? Haha. Mu Qingtian laughed coquettishly, hugged her brother's neck and shook, like others. Don't compare yourself to them. Lin Xian kissed the little fairy's mouth, they don't deserve it. You are good at talking. Mu Qingtian caught her brother's sugar-coated bullet and bit her lip, then wait a while, sister will reluctantly take a bath with you. Don't think I don't know your little thoughts. Lin Xian disdainfully, you just want to be a hooligan to me. You are annoying. Mu Qingtian's exquisite and protruding body swayed in her brother's arms, acting coquettishly, sister promises not to take advantage of you. I don't believe it. Lin Xian was proud and fishing seriously. Who let me have abdominal muscles, who knows who is greedy? Stinky baby, let sister accompany you to take a bath. Mu Qingtian hummed, now the country has begun to respond to water conservation, you take a bath, sister washes your hair, what do you say? Wait, Lin Xian was stunned. Is this head a serious head? When he saw the lustful look in Mu Qingtian's peach blossom eyes. Damn, Lin Xian almost laughed, I'll tell you a secret, do you want to hear it? I want to hear it. Mu Qingtian giggled. You look like a female gangster now. Lin Xian laughed and scolded. Mu Qingtian. No. Mu Qingjian rolled her eyes, unable to stand the greasiness of her brother and sister. She stood up and unbuttoned her shirt as she walked. Lin Xian's eyes suddenly widened. Mu Qingjian raised her lips and rolled her eyes at her sister. Little idiot. She rolled her eyes at her brother again. Heh, man. Lin Xian. Mu Qingtian. Is she provoking us? In an instant, they jumped up and rushed over howling. Mu Qingjian laughed and ran away. The three siblings rushed into the bathroom, laughing and playing. They made a fuss for more than an hour. Lin Xian first carried Mu Qingjian to the master bedroom. Then he came back and carried the dozing Mu Qingtian back to the room. Stinky baby. The little slut hugged her brother's neck, leaned against his arms, and said in a sweet voice, hug me. Lin Xian hugged her, kissed her, and asked softly, can I? Mu Qingtian raised her little face, and her voice became pure, lustful, and charming, hug me if you want to, kiss me if you want to, don't always ask your sister if you can, you can do whatever you want. Really? Lin Xian smiled from the bottom of his heart, but then changed the subject and smiled obscenely. That's what you said, then get up and help me, let's go kill a game of king. Mu Qingtian, Omega. Kiss, are you serious? Lin Xian. Mu Qingtian threw herself on him with her teeth and claws. But before she could go crazy, she was flipped over by Lin Xian and pressed on the bed. Kissed. Mu Qingtian's eyes were blurred. She was moist and charming, with eyes full of autumnal beauty. Lin Xian whispered something in her ear. Mu Qingtian laughed knowingly. She jumped off the bed. After a while, she brought a few packs of popping candy. She laughed strangely at her frightened brother. She pounced on him.